Hey guys, what's going on? This is Swerve for You, and I'm playing Fallout 76 once again. Today we're going to take an in-depth look at workshops. Now, if you've played Fallout 4, you're familiar with the concept of a workshop, but if you've played 76, you'll also realize that there are some differences between the two. The game does not go to great lengths to tell you the differences between the two. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at that today and see all the ins and outs and go from there. So, first thing you're going to notice about a workshop, or the first time you may notice a workshop, is you'll be walking along and you'll get a quest. And the quest will say claim the workshop at whatever location. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is clear enemies from the workshop. If you look at the quest objective, it says clear the enemies. So, if we look at our map, we'll see an area location. That's where the enemies spawn. Now, different locations are keyed differently, or I would say leveled differently. So this is a very easy workshop to take. All the enemies are level 1s. Depending on where you go, some of the enemies can be pretty rough, super mutants, anglers, things like that. But for the most part, this one is quite simple. So we're just going to go through, blast a few ghouls, try not to kill my teammate, and go from there. Yep. So the majority of taking the workshop is just killing enemies. Pretty easy. There will be times where you have to hunt the enemies down. That's really one of the biggest problems. You'll have 1 or 2 enemies left and you're not exactly sure where they're at. The game's not really clear on how many enemies you have to take out. If you look at your map, sometimes it'll just show the radius. Sometimes it will actually highlight each one with quest markers after you kill so many. Oh, there's one. We'll just go through here and clear them all out. Oh, see, there's one. It's got a quest mark. Oh, attacking me. Howdy. Alright, come on. Alright. So some of the enemies have quest markers, some of them don't. I don't really understand why. We'll just chalk it up to it's a Bethesda game. Oh, if there's one ahead. There's one up above. Okay. Oh. Okay. So you'll hear the workshop beeping. This is the actual workshop. And it says unowned. You'll hear the little indicator beeping, but you're not able to claim it until you finish the quest to clear the enemies. Where is that guy? Oh, here we go. Yep, probably on the roof. Hello. Ah. You can shoot him. We have some ammo. Oh, alright, so now there's one straight down. The number of enemies varies, and the type varies. Sometimes you'll see workshops that will rotate between ghouls or super mutants. It really depends on... Oh, okay, so that's it. So now our quest is claimed to change to claim the workshop. So claiming a workshop is very simple. You just walk up to it and press E. You have to pay caps, and you'll also notice there's a warning here that says other players may initiate PvP with you by attempting to claim it. Well, what exactly does that mean? Well, we'll talk about that in just a second, but now we're going to hit yes. So it takes your 25 caps, shows this green area, radius. This is not the radius of the workshop, but you have to stand inside this to progress the progress of this going to the top. If I walk out, you'll see, well, if I can walk out, you'll see progress. Well, it continues, but I can't stay outside there for too long. This is mainly for PvP purposes if you're trying to claim it from someone else or whatever. So what I've done now by claiming it, I finished the quest. So now the workshop is available to me to build, just like a workshop in Fallout 4. So if I look at it, I can press E to enter the build menu, space to repair all structures. There are no structures here that need repaired. So if I hit build, I'll get the workshop menu, and you can see it's just like a Fallout workshop. It's got the green radius, no problems. And I have a build menu, much like you would see in your camp. But in Fallout 4, you had a menu where you could look in the workshop to see what was in there, to see what junk resources were in there. Here you don't. So how does that work? Well, every workshop has resources that are built in. but you can't take them out. I guess they didn't want people to just claim a workshop, grab all the stuff, and leave. But you have things available to build. So you can build anything, like I say, that you're able to build normally. And we're actually going to look right here. So before we do that, most workshops have their own related quest. And if you'll look now, under miscellaneous, it says power up the food packaging at Sunshine Meadows. And that's this right here. So what does that mean? Well, if we look at the map and we mouse over the workshop, we will see that it lists resources that the workshop has. At first, I wasn't really exactly sure what that meant. Here it says packaged food. Now that's a unique resource for this place. Most places have their own little unique quest or unique thing that you can do, but it's also got standard things like aluminum, concrete, junk, fertilize, water. What does that mean? Well, we're going to go over that right now. So the first quest is to power this up. So if we look at it in build mode, we'll see that it wants, let me see, oops. It wants 40 power. Oh, and before we get into building, right after you claim the workshop, you're going to get a defend event, which is defend it from invasion. You usually don't have very long. Luckily, this one is a very low level one, which is why I picked it for the video. It's going to probably be some very low level iBots and Protectrons. That's what it was last time. But they'll come in waves, or, well, no, it gives you a couple minutes to prepare your defenses. So while it's doing that, we'll talk about a couple of things. So each workshop quest, it'll give you the details, of course. This one is power this up. Now I want to draw a little attention to this box right here. This is called the Poseidon Power Box. So if you go up to activate, it'll give you a message saying the power box will provide more power if the Poseidon energy plant is repaired. There's a quest to repair the Poseidon energy plant here. If you do that quest or do that event, first this box will provide power, and here we could just hook it straight up. Unfortunately, we can't do that because the quest hasn't been completed, but a lot of workshops have those boxes, and it saves you from building a lot of generators. So what we would do is, well, we'll go ahead and do the defense quest first before we get into that, but we just, in order to finish that quest, we would build generators. That's going to take 8 medium generators, so we may not do that, but I'll show you just the ins and outs of building, because it's not very obvious exactly where the resources come from and how many there are. So, okay, so our quest has changed. It says defeat the robots, wave 1 of 3. Well, this is not going to be very difficult. Unfortunately, for quests like this, the longest part is just waiting on them to show up and, find out where they're coming from. It could be, oh, okay, nope, that's our other quest objective. We just have to wait. Oh, there's one. So these things are just incredibly easy. You could breathe on them, kill them. But we have to kill them all, so we'll go do that. Where are they? There are 3 waves. Okay, so you see I killed one and just almost, defeated the first wave. Not very difficult. Oh, they're down there. Okay. So, we'll go over here. These are, look like some, maybe Protectrons. Yep, level 5 Protectron. Not a very difficult target. We are way over leveled for this area. Alright, so after the first wave, they give you a few seconds to recover from that invasion. Obviously, we need that. And sometimes the number of waves varies. Sometimes it's a couple of waves. Sometimes it's 3. Sometimes it's 4. Some of these are actually very difficult. I did the Grafton Steel Yard, and it was 3 waves of anglers, which are not just incredibly easy to kill. Although they do drop the adhesive, so that's very, very nice. So depending, you can actually claim every workshop on the server if you run around and did that, or chose to do that. The only thing is, these defense events, when you own a workshop, they will pop up every so often. If you don't complete them, the workshop will go back to being unowned. Also, while we're waiting on these robots, we'll talk about the PvP aspect of claiming a workshop. So, you do open yourself up to PvP. Normally, someone can't just come up and attack you if, they'll become wanted, and, people will be able to freely kill them. Well, if you own a workshop, someone could go up and claim it, just like we did. They don't have to do the initial quest. They can pay caps. And by doing so, they will initiate PvP, meaning you will become red to them, and they will become red to you, and you can freely attack them. Now, if you're somewhere else on the map, they can just walk into the workshop radius, wait for the timer to go down. In that case, you have to wait for the indicator, the little siren thing to go down, and then wait, and then it'll go back up. And you can claim it, but you stay red to them for a period of time. I'm not exactly sure how long, but probably several minutes. Afterwards, whoever wins, you have to be inside the radius to claim it, and then that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple, but you don't really have an option to stop that. You can always give up the workshop if you don't want it, but that lets people attack you, so they're just warning you of that. If someone owned the workshop when we came up to it, instead of it showing empty and getting the quest, it would show their name, just like it shows my name, claimed by Swear For You. It would have shown their name, so we wouldn't have gotten that quest, and we could have taken it from them, provided they weren't here, or we could kill them. So it is a way to get into PvP, if you don't want to become wanted. So there is that option as well. See, this is the issue right here. There's one robot left. Oh, there it is. Finding them is really the biggest, in most cases, is the biggest challenge. Oh, this one has a quest marker, so it's not too difficult. Oh, he's a little tougher. Come on. There we go. Alright, so that's wave 2 of 2, or 2 of 3. Right there. Now we wait. I've also defended the workshop on Mount Blair, and it's usually either mole miners or ghouls. They're much higher level. They're usually levels 14 to 25. Yeah, it could be super mutants as well, but again, this one is just, you could go through here no matter what your level and easily take this. Of course, this is also close to Vault 76, so, you'd expect it to be easier. The further you go, the closer you get to the cranberry bog, the harder it gets. That's how this game works. I honestly wish they would just all rush you in one wave, and you wouldn't have to, perform the tedious task of just running around and finding them. Oh, I hear them. Up there this way. Okay, so this one actually has a little quest. Nope, that's the same quest marker I had before. Sometimes turning this quest off when you're looking for enemies, the workshop quest, will kind of help you. There we go. He's way over here, I think. Oh, they're shooting this way. Oh, hello. Oh, guys. Yeah, not a huge threat here, as you can see. I'm doing a lot of damage to these guys, though. You know what? Out there. Okay, so that's it. That was the last wave, and we barely survived. It was touch and go there for a second. All right, and we completed the quest. So that's pretty much it for the initial claiming of the workshop. It's not that difficult to understand, really. That's the easy part. You do get quest rewards from it, so it's pretty profitable, especially if you just go around and just do workshops. There's a lot of workshops on the map, so now let's take a look real quick at building, because the first quest is to power this station up. So we're going to go into the build menu. We'll go to generators. Okay, so here we can build a small, medium generator, whatever you have the plans for. And if you look at the build menu on the right, it will show the resources that it takes, of course, to build a generator. This is no different from your camp menu, but you'll notice all the resources are green. So if you look, it's showing that we have 34 ceramic available, 72 copper, 30 gears. So what that means, so is that all coming from the workshop? Well, the answer is no. That also pulls from your stash. So if we build a stash box here, and we take a look at my stash, we can see that under my junk here. Okay, so see, yeah, it's not 100% accurate on the ceramic and stuff like that. We'll just go ahead and build a few, and I'll demonstrate. We'll demonstrate how that works, because it can be a bit. It was a bit confusing for me at first. So we can build these generators here, and it'll pull the resources out. All the resources are still green, and that's good. Oh, we've got room to build 8 generators here. 3, 4, 5. I'm hoping to deplete this of resources, so I can show you what I think is the more confusing part about this whole process. 6, 7. Okay, now you'll notice one of the resources just went white, and that was screws. So it says it's going to take 3 screws, and we have 22 available. So what exactly, why is that white and not green? Well, if we look at my stash, oops, I'll have to get a build menu to do that. If we look at my stash, we will see that I have 21 screws available. So what that means, as soon as a resource goes white, that means there are not enough resources in the workbench to build whatever it is you're wanting to build. And so any resource in white is going to come out of your stash. Now there is a difference in quantity. It says we have 22 screws. That means there's 1 screw left in the workshop. 2 of them are going to come out of my stash. So when I build this is the last generator. Okay, now it's down to 19. If we look at my stash, well, if we can find the loose screws, you'll see that it went from 21 to 19. So it used those screws out of my stash. So when you're building at a workshop, be careful. You can use the resources in the workshop, but they will deplete. There's no easy way to see that, so you just have to keep an eye on it, make sure all the resources are green. Now workshops, given time, will slowly regenerate those resources. So had I waited 30-45 minutes and came back, you know, I would have probably had enough screws to do that, but I just wanted to show you guys how that worked. It was sort of a surprise to me. So we're going to go ahead and finish this quest. We're going to link all these generators together, and we're going to power up the food processing machine. It's a little cumbersome, but I haven't found large generator plans yet. So that should be 40 power, and we'll hook it to the machine. And yes, it's doing its thing now. So if we go over here, now that the machine has power, again, this is unique. Every workstation has a unique quest. If we go over here and we look at this terminal, we can choose what kind of food that we're going to get. So we can get fully preserved Salisbury steak or sugar bombs or instant mash. So, you know, let's say we like Salisbury steak. So we pick that, and then we wait. And you'll notice now, when we look at this, this has an inventory. It's empty, but over time it will fill up with whichever food pack, you know, that we selected from the terminal. So that's how that works. And, you know, that's pretty straightforward. Now, but if you'll look at the map and you'll look at the workshop, you'll notice there are other things. So that explains packaged food. One, we understand what that means. What are the other things? Food, water, fertilizer. So it says fertilize, aluminum, junk, and concrete. Well, I don't see any of that sitting around. You can't access the workshop. What are they talking about? So if you will go back into the build menu and go to resources, you will notice on the left that we have a aluminum mineral extractor, a concrete extractor, a fertilizer extractor, and a junk extractor. Now, this will change depending on what workshop you're at, so you can tell just by, you know, which machines are available, what kind of resources that are available at your location. So if we look right here, this is a junk pile right here. We can actually harvest that. You get random junk. Got a bag of cement, a wrench, and duct tape. Well, 1 out of 3 is not bad. So if we go to junk, you'll notice, well, this is a fertilizer extractor. We can't build it here. Concrete, aluminum. But if we go to junk, it's green, and we're able to place it. And so it's telling us it requires 10 power, and this will produce 25 junk per hour. Now, so we're going to go ahead and build that. All the resources are green, so it's consuming the workshop resources and not mine. And workshops also, if you'll notice, they have a budget, just like your camp does. Obviously, the longer you have a workshop, the more resources it'll generate, the more it's available. You can feel free to build it like your camp. You can build houses or turrets or structures. But for the most part, the main reason you want to take workshops is for their unique resources. So a junk extractor doesn't sound that great, but I ran this yesterday, stayed here for about an hour, and it produces really good stuff. Sometimes you'll get things like cloth, things like that, but it produces screws. Yesterday I got 7 fiber optics from this, which is a rare resource. Very few things contain that. Then you get adhesive, ballistic fiber. You know, it produces really good things. So, but on its own, it requires power. So right now it's just going to sit there. So obviously we want it to do something. So, and I don't want to waste my screws to do that. We're going to see if this has produced anything yet. Well, no, it hasn't. But we'll just go ahead. We'll go ahead and build a couple generators just to show you guys how this works. So back to generators. So for the most part, oh well, now you can see now. Okay, the screws are green. We're up to 27, so that means the workshop has already regenerated some screws. So that's good. It won't use mine. We'll go ahead and build 2 of these, and now when we go back into build mode, we can connect those together. Connect those to the junk extractor, and you'll see it's operating now. And again, now it has an inventory, but there's nothing in it. So we have to wait for that. But it actually produces pretty quickly. One thing when you go up to look at these, you have to give it a minute, at least for me. I don't know if it's lag or if that's just the way it works. But you have to wait. Sometimes you have to look at it for 5 or 6 seconds before it will actually show you what's in there. So that's pretty straightforward. There are other nodes as well. If we go to those, there's one around back here. If we look, you'll see just like a divot in the ground. So if we go into the workshop and we go to resources again, I believe this is concrete, so this extractor won't fit, this won't fit, but our concrete extractor will go. We're not actually going to build this because I've got plenty of concrete, but it's the same thing. It requires 10 power, it produces 33 per hour. One really nice place that if you take over this that you're definitely going to want to build, and I believe that one is over here, is, and let's see, oh, this is a fertilized spot. But further over here, that's fertilized. This is an aluminum extractor. This produces 25 aluminum an hour. Aluminum is not that common, so definitely recommend if you take this over to build that. So the aluminum and junk extractors are really the best thing here. I've got plenty of fertilizer. I don't know about you guys. It's not hard to get. You know, spoil meat, spoil vegetables. Very easy to get. But that's, so when it says, when it's advertising the resource nodes on the map menu, that's what it's talking about. You actually have to take over the workshop, build the machines to extract it, and then build the generators to power it, and then wait. So one thing also that is not obvious, anyone can just walk up to this. Oh, see, we've already produced crystal shards, and you'll notice there was like a 4-second delay before it showed. I just press E to take it, and that's all there is to it. It just basically produces junk for free, and it produces pretty good junk. It's definitely worth it. Now, anyone could have done that. You know, this is my workshop, but this machine, this inventory is open to anyone that chooses to walk up and take it. Now, if anyone comes by and damages these machines, if they shoot them or, you know, do any kind of damage, they will become wanted and they'll become red to you and everyone else. But because this is open, nothing will happen. So how do we prevent that? Well, if we go into our build menu and we look at a machine like this that has an inventory, on the very left side you'll notice an option that says lock. So if we press F for lock, we get a choice. The top one is remove lock if we have a locked resource. And then we can choose the level of lock. So here we've got a level 0 lock. This one wants 1 spring, 2 steel. This is the skill level of lock picking the person has to have before they can attempt to pick it, just like a lock you found in the world. So the different levels of locks require more resources. This one takes 2 springs. This one takes a gear and 2 springs. This one takes a gear, a screw, and 2 springs for a level 3 lock. But you'd have to be a master lock pick to pick this. So, you know, you can lock these if you want. We'll just do a level 0 lock to demonstrate. So now, if someone walks up to this, it says junk extractor locked. I can access it because the workshop belongs to me, but anyone else, they would get a lockpick screen, and they would have to pick the lock in order to be able to open it. And once they pick that lock, they become read to you and initiate PvP. They will not become wanted, but they will be read to you. If they damage it, they become wanted. So that's kind of the difference between those scenarios. It's not not very obvious until you actually do it. Okay, so now you can see here our food packaging plant has already produced 3 Salisbury steaks. And if we look at those in the aid menu, we will see that these Salisbury steaks are the preserved kind, meaning there's no radiation of any kind. So, I mean, if you want to stockpile food that doesn't spoil, this is for you. Each workshop has its own unique quest. Some of them actually have fusion cores, very valuable resources. And another great thing too, this is a great source of experience. If you like finishing events and doing things like that, you'll get all kinds of rewards for it. This one has a Tinker's Workbench. Usually a lot of these places, since the resources are free, if you want to build a stash box, or if you want to build crafting places to repair your armor, things like that, these are all going to consume. So you can see here, it's showing that, the workshop is low on gears, it's low on screws. So those are going to consume out of my resources. The aluminum, spring, and wood would come from the workshop. It will only be green if the workshop has the absolute number of resources to craft that. So if it's green, it won't consume any. If it's going to consume part of your resources, even if it's just 1 or 2 or all of them, it'll be white. So if it's all green, there's no worries. It would be convenient if there was a way to at least check the workshop to see what it had. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So I hope that this has helped you guys out. If it did, give me a like and a subscribe. Next video is going to be on precision looting. So if you're wondering what the little magnifying glasses were in my menus there when I was building things, well, we're going to talk about that. Help you to only loot things that have resources that you really need. So until next time, peace.